Today we are going to talk about multiplying fractions by whole numbers using our equations. Okay, so we'll start with number one. It says 1/4 times 5. So we are thinking of this as 1/4, 1/4 of 5 wholes. So you can do that mentally and draw some pictures, or we can cut straight to that equation. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. 1/4 times 5. Now we know that 5 as a whole number has a 1 underneath it. A 5 holes has a denominator of 1. We don't typically write it, but it is there. And when we are multiplying fractions, it is perfect to have there to remind us that we're not multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by 5, but we just multiply straight across. So right here, I take a look and see, okay, 1 times 5 gets me 5. And then I multiply across with my denominators. 4 times 1 gets me 4. Now I can turn that into a mixed number by saying that 4 goes into 5 one time with 1 left over and 4 parts still. So there is my product, multiplying 1/4 times 5 wholes. 1/4 of 5 wholes is 1 1/4. Looking at this second problem, it says half of 6. So again, I want you to think about that mathematically. What is half of 6? Well, we know that half of 6 is 3. So if we multiply correctly, we should get an answer of 3. Let's try. I'm going to rewrite my problem again. 1/2 of means to multiply, and 6. Now, once again, I am going to put 1 as my denominator. So I remember that my 2 is multiplying with 1, not to 6. And I go ahead and multiply across. 1 times 6 is 6. Multiply my denominators. 2 times 1 is 2. I can simplify that by dividing both of those by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1, getting me 3 wholes. So I can then drop my 1. There we have it. Half of 3 is 6. We already know that, but here's how we prove it mathematically. All right, let's take a look at 2 word problems here. It says it rained 1/10 inch every day for 5 days. We want to know how much rain there was in all. So 1/10 times 5. Again, I can rewrite that so I do not make the mistake of multiplying 10 times 5. So I put my 5 as my numerator because it's the whole, and I place my 1 in the denominator. I multiply across. 1 times 5 is 5. 10 times 1 is 10. Now I can divide both of those. I can simplify. If I divide 5 by 5, I get 1. And if I divide 10 by 5, I get 2. So my answer would be that there was half an inch, 1/2 inch of rain in 5 days. All right, last problem here. It says Samantha bought 4 containers of raspberries. Each container held 2/3 pint of raspberries. How many pints of raspberries did Samantha buy? So this time, our whole number actually comes first, although you could switch it around if you would like. So 4 containers, and in each of them, we had 2/3 pint. Okay, so once again, I rewrite it. 4 is my whole number. Underneath that, I have a 1. Here I've got 2/3. Now I multiply across. 4 times 2 gets me 8. 1 times 3 gets me 3. Now, this is an improper fraction since my numerator is larger. So I see how many times 3 goes into 8. Well, 3, 6, that goes in 2 times. 7, 8, there are 2 left over. My denominator stays the same. So I have a total of 2 2/3 pints of raspberry among my 4 containers. To recap, when we are multiplying fractions by whole numbers, we go ahead and multiply. We set up our problem by putting a 1 in the denominator of our whole number. So 5 turns into 5 over 1. That's not changing anything. This is just saying 5 wholes. Then from there, we multiply straight across. We multiply our numerators, multiply our denominators, simplify if we can, and we've got our answer.